Hey, que Pasa Calexico? Welcome back to the podcast. Like always, before we begin, I want to thank my friends here at Calexico Brewing Company for allowing me to record today's episode here. Thank you so much, guys, for the space. Today I have a returning guest. She ran her first successful campaign back in June. Today my guest is Ms. Gina Dockstader. Thank you for coming back to Calexico Brewing and back to Calexico, and you had a safer drive this time around.
Yes, I did. It was much safer. I don't know why, but there was no almost accidents this time. Much safer.
So before we begin, I know you were here on the podcast before, but tell us a little bit about who you are and you know, a little bit about yourself.
I am. Thank you. I am going to kind of read a little bit of opening statement that makes sure I get everything in there just for the people that maybe didn't hear it the first time. And you're right. You got to reintroduce.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm Gina Dockstader, proud fourth generation Imperial Valley native. My parents are Rick and Lori Young, and they currently reside in Brawley. Bill and Betty Young were my grandparents. I'm a North End girl. I went to school in Nyland, attended high school in Calapat, and attended college at Northern Arizona University. I majored in public relations. I have a minor in business management. También yo tengo un minor en español. My accomplishments include being a business owner and being responsible for the accounting of 5 different businesses. I have D&G Farms. I'm a sole owner and currently farm organic medjool dates. It's a small farm, just 35 acres. We have D&G Trucking. My husband, Dusty, and I are co-owners. We started with 1 truck in 2006 and have grown that business so that we now have 5 trucks. P&T Enterprises. My uncle, Patrick Dockstader, started that in 1992. And Dusty and I became partners with him in 2016. After that, we decided, since we were growing our own organic citrus, we might as well open up our organic packing shed, Doc's Organics. So we opened that in 2017. Also, Rick Young Ranches, my dad, his farming office, I tend to work there Thursday mornings because I'm a little busy. And thanks to LinkedIn, I've now worked there 25 years. You know how it comes up your work anniversary. Yeah. My community involvement includes being a member of the Women's Auxiliary of Pioneers Memorial Hospital, including past treasurer. I'm an active member in California Women for Agriculture, including past treasurer. I'm also on the CTE, Career Technical Education Board for Calipatria High School. We had a meeting last week. I'm also an active member of PEO. It's a philanthropic educational opportunities for furthering women's education. And I want to keep it brief. I know we want to get into the questions. It's the fun part, right? The back and forth with Jose. But I do want you to know that I'm running because I care. I'm running because I believe the next few years will be challenging times for our district and our community. I believe strong business skills will be crucial to the IID board for upcoming deadlines. The need for our community to afford energy rates is important. The need to keep our water available for our farmers, cities, industry, and future development is also crucial. I'm running so that I can continue to farm, so that my son can continue to farm, and so the valley will not lose its precious resources. I believe that the IID board does need to be a cohesive group that works together for the good of the valley, whether it's for the business owner, the school teacher, the janitor, the postal worker, the IID employee, the farmer, or the mother. We must protect our valley's interests, and I'm passionate about that. Before I finish, my 4 major points, because it's going to ask me anyway, is to ensure our water rights and our volume of water is beneficial for the entire community, maintain reasonable energy rates, and upgrade existing infrastructure. We also need to hold the state of California accountable for the Salton Sea. And number 4 is to develop and implement a succession plan for many of the key positions at IID. So I'm asking for everybody to vote for me. All right, Jose, what do you want to talk about today?
Let's talk about the campaign. I mean, you ran. June was your first, campaign, for any public office.
Yeah.
And you were the top vote getter.
42%. And I knew going into it with 4 candidates to take over 50% would be very difficult.
And I mean, you were really close to, getting, elected right off the bat. But yeah, it was a close race, and even the race between Don and Ramon was like super tight, like 13 votes, I think.
Yes, and it kept going back and forth when they're reading the votes. I'm thinking, who am I going to run off against? But I'm going to run off against Ramon. Nope, I'm going to run off against Don. No, it was really back and forth.
So running a campaign for the first time, like, what are your takes on running a campaign? Was it all that you expected and more, or?
I was really happy when all my signs could finally come down, because I have quite a few signs around town, around the 3 different cities and a few other places too. But harder than I expected, I think. I've learned a lot, and I know I'm going to post this. I haven't done it yet, but even in my office, I have filing cabinets. I already have one drawer full of IID stuff, whether it's notes from board of directors meetings or notes on energy or lithium. The education that I have been continuing to do has been excessive. It's been quite a lot, which has been good. And meeting with different people, it's been a good experience. Probably more work than I realized, right? And if I go to the grocery store, it takes me forever to get through, because in Vons and Brawley, everybody knows you. Yeah. So yeah. My wife said, I'm usually the one that does the grocery shopping, but I take longer because sometimes I'll see somebody and and it's not that I love to talk, but just people, I guess, like talking to me. I don't know. Yeah, sure. Or people just like talking, especially when it's people that you haven't seen in a while. But going back to the campaign, it's hard to run a campaign. Like you said, it was a little bit difficult than you expected, but do you still think that it's, something that you made the right decision to do? I do. And I think God is really testing me, and he's making me run again to make sure this is really, really what I want, right? It makes you even want it even more. So I think I'm getting better. I think I'm getting more polished. I think my responses are getting better. I'm getting a little bit more comfortable with the public speakings, the forums. I think each opportunity is allowing me to get better and better. I like to write, so I feel that I'm a good writer, but as far as speaking on the fly, I could use a little work, I think. Yeah. And June is normally like an election where we don't have a lot of turnout. Hopefully we get a better turnout in November. Right. How do you address this different campaign? I mean, it's for the same position, the IID Division 3. I don't think we mentioned that, but it's the same for the same position, but it's kind of like a different monster because it's in November, and hopefully we're expecting more voters this time around. How do you go forward with this new campaign in a sense? I think I need to focus more on the Hispanic population. I think that was the mistake that I made the first go around. I thought that I was, but somebody even wrote into Probe for IV Press saying, how come the signs aren't in Spanish? And I thought, you're exactly right. What a point he made. Tienes un minor en español. Sí, señor. So I have yard signs this go around that have words, have it in Spanish instead, because that's exactly right. That I don't want to say you're ignoring the population, but you just it didn't even occur to me. And as it didn't occur to any of the other candidates as well. So I'm going to do some spots also on Hispanic television. I'm going to do some spots in Spanish. So I've done a couple of Facebook videos in Spanish. We haven't released them yet. So look for those. They're coming out. And I'm pretty proud. Did you polish you went back and practiced your Spanish? Did you put on the telenovelas to listen? Yes. And I'm listening to like Gasolina and, different Spanish music too. It's kind of funny. And in one of the videos, you'll have to look for it, but I make a little bit of a mistake. And I love it that it's in there, because that just, I'm trying. Because my Spanish is not perfect by no means. Even though you have a minor, you forget. You go back. Even this morning, I was telling my husband, why is he telling me about the raccoon? He keeps calling them Apaches. And my husband says, that's not how you say it. And I said, well, now that's my new name for all the raccoons. Because how do you say it? Mapache? Mapache, yeah. Mapache is a raccoon. Apache could be like a Native American, right? Right. And so I was trying to figure out what I was talking to my friend Francisco, and I was like, what is he talking about Apaches for? Anyway, I was confused for a little bit.
And you're a business owner, and you say that having a background in business or somebody that's in business is going to be a good board member to the board. Why is that something that you think is important?
Well, I think looking at the budget, seeing where numbers go, asking questions, saying, oh, do we have money in reserves? Oh, why did the money from that interest, from that ECA rate, why did that money go here? Why can't we give that back to the right ratepayers? I think looking from one year to the next, why is there a 20% difference in this number? Why? Those are crucial questions that you really need to understand. And same thing with infrastructure, right? We have to have enough money in the bank, just like energy. We've had a lot of power outages. There's poles that have gone down that need to be put back up. There is a pole program they've been working on. I know COVID, right? Everybody's going to blame everything for the next 10 years. It's because of COVID. And there are supply chain problems. I understand that. But some projects maybe need to be pushed a little bit more because you have that money there. Let's get going.
Yeah, and Brian, you said you had 5 businesses.
Yes.
And infrastructure, even for a business, is something that needs to be looked at when running a business. Like whether it's your office or your trucks, they need maintenance and stuff like that. You bring that element to the board as well. I mean, a lot of the ratepayers or a lot of other people that associate the IID, they just associate it with, the electricity, but they don't really think about everything that goes behind, making sure that the electricity is on. And maintenance and infrastructure is a huge part of it. What are your thoughts on, making sure that we were up to date in terms of that?
Well, and then we also need to be conscious about our greenhouse emissions because they're ramping that up. We have to meet emissions for purchasing our energy. So you have 4 different spots in the valley where energy can come in and come out, right? Because it's kind of on a circuit, it's just going to really be crucial, I think, especially with, are we going to have all these electric cars coming down the pipeline? How are you going to plug those in? How are we going to have the energy to handle that? I had a family member come down recently, dove hunting, to September 1st, and he had a Tesla. He didn't think about it. I live in the middle of nowhere in Calapat, outside of Calapat, not Calapat's in the middle of nowhere, but my house is in the middle of nowhere. And we plugged him in. He got in an hour, 1 mile an hour. He obviously had to come to El Centro and charge back up. He didn't even think about it because he lives in San Diego. He just thought we'd have a charging station somewhere. Yeah. It's going to take you a a little bit to
have to go to the mall and charge it.
Yep. Before he could go home. So those are also things we need to think about as well.
Yeah, and it's part of the infrastructure, umbrella of. You said, mentioned electric cars, but at the same time, you mentioned poles, you mentioned, you talk about, all these things that make sure that our electricity is on. And like you said, infrastructure when it comes to businesses is key. And the ratepayers, I think everybody mentions the ratepayers, every candidate. But how hard is it to run a campaign and make sure that you don't promise anything because you can't really promise anything?
You can't, right? I can't. Let's talk about the water in Calapat. Do I want to tell the people in Calapat I'm going to fix your water system for the city? Did we talk about that at all last time? They're paying crazy rates, but they go through Golden State water.
Yeah.
I can't come up with a plan because it's not the IID. We deliver the water, but we don't do the water treatment plan in Calapat. So that's still something in the back of my head that I would like to help them find a fix because they need some type of fix somewhere. So
yeah, and it's hard that you can't really promise that. So
no.
Yeah, and was it something that running your first campaign does something that you notice that, you talk to these people, but you can't really make any promises.
Yes. And I really try now also to tell myself all the time, even in my car before I came in here, I told myself, speak my truth, right? So sometimes you can't tell the people. As a candidate, you want to tell them what they want to hear because you want them to vote for you. You want everybody to be happy. And you can't. You have to speak your truth because obviously the decisions that I make, some people are going to be mad. You can't. You cannot please everybody all the time. And I do get people ask me the questions about Calapat water because they think I can fix it. And I hate to tell them I can't.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And you, and it's something that I asked Gail Revelar the last time he was here because he's running for city council. Obviously you come from, background where it's farm workers, I guess people are going to say that, it's from money. How do you talk to or make sure that people understand that you're going to represent everybody, not only, business owners or people, farmers? How do you make sure that people understand that you're running for everybody, not just,
The people that know me, they know me already. So I have been very blessed and I give back a lot. I give back to the community. Especially the children. So whether it's the Midwinter Fair auction, whether it's the Boys and Girls Club in Brawley, sports programs, a lot of the schools, through our businesses, we do the banners for football. We do the scoreboard in Calapat. We help with advertising publications. So I do give back to the community. And with these 5 different businesses, when you have about 100 employees, you're affecting their lives. Those 100 employees, most of them are married. So that's 200 people that you are affecting.
At least.
Then they have children. If they have 2 children apiece, some families have a few more. So you're affecting 400 people. So hopefully, my employees are happy. Everybody's happy. And they know that even though I have been blessed and I've been in this situation, that I do give back. And I think part of that stems from going to grade school in Island, where not a lot of people had a lot. And I grew up in where I can remember my dad. Did I say this the first time?
I think so.
Going
the
to
shoes?
Payless? Yeah, about going to, I'm still very conscious about where I spend my money. So.
In your business, obviously I don't think there's big enough to where there's unions and.
No.
But the IID obviously has a union with their employees.
Yes.
Have you had a chance to kind of get to know the union leaders and the employees, kind of, because dealing with negotiating with unions is a huge part of decisions that are taking part at the IID. Have you kind of had a chance to see how that works?
Just recently did the deal to see if the unions would endorse me. I don't know if they will because I'm probably not quite their demographic. But I watched their video. They have a 101 union. And actually, I told them in the interview that I did appreciate watching the video. It really helps me learn a few more things. And my son, who probably will come back and work for the family, just graduated and is going to school in Utah. He's welding. He's going to a trade school for welding, which also would put him in probably a union job. He's got 2 friends also one's from Nyland, one's from Calapat. So the 3 boys went to Utah, living in an apartment, and the other 2 boys, same thing. They could possibly get a job with the union. This is really going to help them further their careers. It's a game changer. It could change their lives. One of the boys was working for us at the ranch, doing a great job. He was a year older than my son. And I hope this will really help him. It's a great opportunity.
But so what's your understanding of, because I'm also part of a union, CSCA, and I know that it's a huge part of our district, negotiating with the union, negotiating with the administration, the board. It's Calexico was at a point where teachers almost went on a strike. And we see the dealings with the railroad workers that almost went on a strike as well.
that would have been terrible. But keep going.
But unions hold a lot of power when it comes to how a company works. So I'm trying to understand, like, if you, because I don't know what how the IID employees union works, but I don't know if you've kind of dove a little bit into that now that you've going into the November campaign.
Right, and increased my education. So I have been on record as far as the PLA not supporting a blanket PLA for every single project. I will tell you that straight up, because I do want the jobs to stay local. And I'm not saying the unions aren't local, but I'm saying for some of these people to get vested, when you have to have certain qualifications to be in the union to hold that position, they do have a lot of people that come from San Diego. So that is an issue. That doesn't mean I don't believe in the unions. Of course, you need all the workers you can get, and you need the unions also. What my concern is that I do want the jobs to stay here in the Valley. When some of the unions come in, you have people from out of the Valley come in, they make their money, and they go out of the Valley to spend their money because they don't live here. One of my other issues with that is it's hot here. They have a job in the summertime, and from the research I have done, I've heard they think, ooh, it's good money, union job, here I go, let's go. They come, they're here for a week, and then they say, oh, here in San Diego, I'm out. I'm going to go back to San Diego. So there are definite issues, and I'm both. I'm for the union, but I'm for our local guys too.
Yeah, and it's hard to, there's a balance there where you kind of, it's like a tightrope where, like, you kind of don't know where to go because, like you said, like, you want jobs to stay here. But obviously, unions, you want the union to be happy as well. So,
Yeah, I do. So I've done work, and that's one of those answers, right? Where you're trying to make everybody happy. The people that work here, that live here, everybody happy across the board.
Yeah. Let's talk about lithium. Everybody's banking on it to hopefully bring the Valley up to,
Have you noticed it's gone quiet?
Yeah.
Do you think? Right? It's gone quiet. They're not talking anymore. So I figured you were going to talk about the tax, right? The $400, $800 a ton lithium tax, whatever they decide on. I'm a business owner, right? I look at my numbers before I go somewhere. What's one of the problems with California? We outprice everybody, right? We make it so difficult for people to have businesses here. I'm not saying not to have a tax. I'm not saying I even know what the right number would be. I honestly have no idea, because you have to look at that business. You have to look at their bottom line. How much is it costing for them to develop? How much? So I hope we don't overtax them where they leave completely.
Yeah. I think that was one of my, concerns when it was decided that we were going to tax per ton or whatever, whatever they extracted. Because it's gone quiet. And like you said, like, I don't know if the pricing on the taxes is correct, because I'm not a lithium expert.
Yeah.
But yeah, because at the end of the day, like, if you think about it, you would think it's better off to tax it what they're for what it being extracted, because what was the other option? It was either that or was it a sales tax? No, let's see. I don't remember what the other issue was, but the other choice was. But to me it was taxing per whatever was being extracted. But yet again, the price. How do we set that price?
Yeah. What happens if the market goes up? What happens if the market goes down? I just think that's really hard thing for business to come in and say, okay, X amount of dollars is going to go to this, and do we really know for sure it's going to work before they even agree to this? So I'd have to look in there. I would love to look at their financials, right?
Yeah.
I'd love to look at those documents.
Yeah, because I think it was something that should have been left open to negotiations as to, like, okay, like, this is the rate right now. We're gonna tax you this much, or but setting a set price on it, I don't know if it's the right decision, but I mean, at the end of the day, like say it does work, say we do extract lithium from the solid seed, you know, how do we make sure that whatever money comes out of it is being distributed equally? Good
question. Have you read the plan that the Board of Supervisors put forth, where they had a whole plan of, it still doesn't exactly say percentages, so you're still not sure, but they talk about their buckets and that Calipat would get to double dip in the buckets, because there's a consideration too. The communities that are closer to the lithium, do they get a higher percentage than the communities that are further apart? And when I read it, I am so sorry, Bard Valley. I forget about you sometimes, because I kind of think of you as being in Yuma, but they were listed on this list to get money from the lithium, and I thought, Bard Valley, that's practically Arizona, but it's not. It's in our jurisdiction. So sorry, Bard Valley. You have good dates though. Yeah. So that is something that is really going to have to be looked at. And everybody is coming after them. Everybody wants a piece of the pie. So I feel kind of sorry for the lithium guys. Yeah.
But how I mean, the board's the IID board is going to probably have a say into how it's distributed. How do you or the board make sure that it's being distributed equally? And, you know, obviously some of it is going to have to go. Some communities are going to have to get a little bit more because they need it, or because they're being affected the most with whether it's traffic and need to fix roads,
right.
You know,
fix the roads.
All these things that are going to come up because of the traffic going in, traffic going out, or communities needing more homes or infrastructure. How do we make sure that it's, you know, being distributed equally?
That's a good question. Obviously, they'll have to have oversight. They'll have to have another, I don't want to say another commission, another organization that's there that helps distribute, right, where that money goes. There'll have to be an oversight. It won't be the ID people. It won't be Board of Supervisors people. It'll have to be somebody else altogether. But I don't know necessarily, as much as the IID supports the lithium, I don't think that's in our realm to say you get 5%, you get 10%. So our realm is more, let's make sure they have the water that they need for their processes. Let's make sure, in addition to that geothermal energy, we have the ability to put that online to get that where it needs to go. That's kind of more the ID's role, I feel, in that.
The infrastructure and talking about water, I mean, I think every day, you know, I see news alerts about, there's going to be cuts in Arizona, cuts here about, you know, water. So far, I haven't heard about us, but right. I think it's coming down the pipeline.
Because what are we in? Election year. So we haven't heard anything, have we? Yeah. So I thought that was pretty interesting that they're kind of wait, I think, for California until after elections are over, until next year. Yeah. But they also have rules that they need to follow too. So it is reassuring that they are following the rules of the river at this time, where they are cutting Mexico, where they are cutting Arizona. They are following the law of the river right now. So I'm not saying that's not going to change in the future, but I'm sure Bureau of Reclamation, I'm sure they're working on something. We just don't know what it is yet.
Yeah, but how do you as a board, if you're elected as a board member, how do you ensure that, you know, we keep as much water as we can keep, you know, down here in the valley?
We need to be vocal. We need to be vocal with legislature. We need to be vocal in our state government. We need to make sure they know that we are not only feeding the Imperial Valley, that we are feeding America. And we live in a global economy, so not only are we feeding America, we're feeding the world. Our organic lemons have traveled as far as New York, which is crazy because I want to save the planet. Think of the emissions that went into trucking, transporting them to New York. And we have even sent our lemons overseas to Japan. That's crazy to me. Yeah. But our alfalfa, they say that's a thirsty crop, uses a lot of water. Yeah. Okay. Our alfalfa, our Sudan, So would you like us to tell Japan, where a lot of these presses ship to Japan, sorry, your cows aren't going to have any food, so you're going to have to eat fish. You're not going to be able to eat beef anymore. Mm-hmm. It's really global.
Yeah, we affect a lot of people.
We really do. Mm-hmm. And we need to keep that forefront because we just don't have the numbers here. We don't have the LA numbers. We don't have the number of people. So
I think that's, when I think about, people negotiating for water, I think that that's, something that it might be hard to argue. Like, why do you need so much water if your population? But, we can always argue like, oh, we're feeding you. But, it's a hard thing to argue. Like, we need so much water because of this. But at the end of the day, like, we're feeding other places, and at the same time, we're feeding ourselves by creating a local economy with, farm workers,
the tractor drivers. That's right. The irrigators, everybody that has even an indirect thing, even RDO, water supply, just different businesses, obviously, that are here to serve. It would affect the whole valley. If we don't have the water here, we're not going to have a valley. We'll dry up like Owens Valley. It'll be death to the valley.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like you said, it's something that we need to be not concerned, but like it needs to be in our mind that, if we need to make a lot of noise about, how we.
Yeah, we need to be cognizant. We need to really share that message and get that across.
Yeah.
And what happens when we don't have food? What happens if we get shut down again, like COVID? Are we going to get food from other places? We need to have food, and I'm not talking about just the valley. I'm just talking America in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because going back to like we feed a lot of people with our crops. Yeah.
Well, we do. I even 1 year, some of my dad's wheat that he grew went to make pasta in Italy.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah, it's always kind of neat when you find out where your product really ends up.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's crazy. Wow. Italy, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, who would thought that wheat from the Imperial Valley would make, pasta in Italy? That's the pasta capital of the world,
Yep, exactly right.
It's crazy. Hey guys, sorry for the interruption, but I want to take this time and thank my sponsors. I want to thank my friends Camilo, Jake, Eric Ortega. I want to thank Eddie Lopez from Roots Creative, Ms. Norma Galindo, IID Director representing Division 5 and serving the entire Imperial Valley, Will Torres from Valley Sports Network, your Imperial Valley source for sports. I want to thank Sergio's Tacos and Hotdogs. With 8 years of experience serving the Imperial, San Diego, and Yuma counties with Mexicali-style hot dogs and taquizas, contact Sergio at 760-562-0057 or look for Sergio Tacos and Hotdogs on Facebook. I want to thank Eric Reyes from Los Amigos de la Comunidad, empowering communities together. Finally, I want to thank David Gastelum. If you're thinking of buying or selling a home in the Imperial or San Diego counties, make sure you contact David. He's not only a realtor, but an investor with over 20 years of experience, and he'll teach you along the way in one of the most important investments of your life. Contact David at 760-235-9576 or look for David Gastelum on Facebook. All right, guys, well, now back to the show. Yeah, and going back to the board, I mean, right now they seem a little bit quiet. For a while, I think the first time we talked, they were like, on the paper like every week, with these arguments and fights. Does it worry you that it's kind of quiet, or is it a positive thing?
Oh no, I think it's a positive thing. I think maybe too, they're also worried. They're also worried about the water. So I think maybe there's other issues that are taking precedence instead of, I'm mad at you because of this, or because of that. Yeah. So you have bigger issues to worry about. And I think in that respect, they're coming together.
Okay.
So
because you're somebody that attends meetings or at least
Zoom them if if I don't attend them.
You're caught up with, because to be honest, I haven't.
Sure. Well, it's really, unless you're really into it, you probably aren't going to just log in and say, oh boy, that was fun.
Yeah, I think the Calexico City Council meetings are the most entertaining ones nowadays. Mm-hmm. But for a while, the IID was, the talk of the town.
The forefront, yes. I'm glad to see it's not quite making the front page, hopefully, anymore.
And how do you, if you're elected, how do you come in and make it a better board than it is now?
I really want to focus. My slogan is putting families first. Well, that is a family. You're an IID board family. Even my work, I have my work families. I have my secretaries. I have my foremans. I have... Each entity is its own family. And that's how I feel the board should be too. Maybe we need a safe word. So when something's getting out of hand and you hear me say Mesopotamia and everybody says, what are we talking about Mesopotamia for? That's the word for, okay, we crossed the line. We need to dial it back a little bit. Mm-hmm. So, and it's respecting. It's hearing what people say. Once you get angry at somebody and you start yelling at somebody, you shut off. If you yell at me, I'm not going to hear another word you say. You're never going to change my mind because all I hear is you're yelling. Yeah. So if you want to get that point across, you need to speak and communicate. Everybody's got great ideas, and you can't implement everybody's idea, but you can also maybe counteract the idea with using nicer language. Maybe that's how I should say it.
Yeah, and right now, well, it's four men, and then obviously Ms. Norma Galindo's out and Karin's coming in. You would be the second. Coming in to a board that was mainly the majority men. Does a female, candidate, another female that might make it a little bit more balanced? Does it make the board a little bit stronger? The female mentality kind of change the way the board interacts.
I hope it does. I just recently, that idea just recently came to me where I realized, oh yeah, there could be 2 females on the board. So I hope it's good for the dynamics. And I think she's a good person also. So I don't think we'll have some people want to be the alpha dog, if you know what I'm saying. And I don't foresee us going through that. I see us helping each other more too, because we're newbies, right? Mm-hmm. We're both fresh. So I think it'll be a good thing. Yeah. We'll help those boys out. That's what we'll do.
Yeah. And it's a different dynamic because there's, somebody that's really young in that board, with JB, and then, the new person coming in is somewhat and there's the age difference is all over the place, which kind of makes it
that's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to say it's brings different perspectives.
It really does bring different perspectives. I agree with you there too. Mm-hmm. You have, as you get older, I turned 50. What I think now obviously is different than what I thought in my 20s. So but you still need to know where the younger generation's coming from, because it doesn't discount them. It doesn't mean they don't have good ideas too, because they might think out of the box and have an idea that you haven't even thought of before because you're so set in your ways. At the same time, that older generation, they've seen a lot, right? We've been there, we've done that. Even when my girls in the office make a mistake, okay, yep, I know I made that same mistake at one time. We'll move on. As long as you tell me about it, don't make it again, but let's go, just that's how you move forward. Yeah.
And especially, when it comes to, the history of our water rights and negotiations with unions, you need to have somebody that kind of has been there and done that to kind of explain things to you, teach you how things have been done and how they've worked in the past, because things might change in a lot of things and they might not work the same now, but there's things that might still work today that, worked back then. So yeah, I think having that different, experience and age gap and everything makes, it's good to see in the board because
it's more well-rounded.
Yeah.
You have different people from different backgrounds too. The more well-rounded, I think the better decision-making you can make rather than being pigeonholed and making everything one way.
And going back, I was thinking about, just thought about right now, you ran for your first, campaign, elected office, and it was it's probably the IID and then the county. It's one of the, top positions in the county. Mm-hmm. And you successfully ran, your first campaign, and it was one of the toughest campaigns to run here in the Valley. And
it is. And one of the things, I was going to say this for closing, but this kind of leads into it, was you are the only person that has asked me, if you lose, what will you do? That really stuck with me. When you asked me that question, in my head, I was interpreting that as you saying, well, will you run for school board, or will you run for city council, or will you do something else? And I thought, no, because this is what I want to do. The more I thought about that, the more I have invested, the more time I have into it. I wanted to tell you, thank you for that question, right? Make sure you ask everybody that question, because I think at the time I said go back to my normal life. I won't do that now. If I lose, I will want to be on the AWAC board. That's the Agriculture Water Advisories Committee. I still want to help. Mm-hmm. I still want to help in this capacity. This is where I feel my passion. So I can't go back to my old life anymore. Isn't that funny? I will be doing something. I will be helping here somehow, somewhere. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. And it's something that I've asked before, because I think it's important that, when somebody runs, somebody that might have good ideas, that might be motivated to help, and they don't win, I think it's important for them to, and it may not be just for you to gain experience for maybe running again in the future, but, because your ideas might be helpful, might matter. And being somebody, that sticks around, whether in different boards, might help out a lot. I think, and like I said, I've asked it before, because I think it's something that, I've seen a lot of people that have run for city council, school board, and I feel that they were a good candidate, and all of a sudden they lose, and they probably even stop, being more active in the community, just because they felt, like a loser.
That
I mean,
I'm
not saying it in a bad way, but that's how they felt. But I mean, I feel that, if you're a good asset to the community and to a school board, a city council, then, try to be active in what you were doing before.
And I will. And I really wanted to make sure that I told you that. So thank you.
Oh, wow. That's a good, and like I said, I've asked it before, and nobody has, said that it was that good of a question.
Well, it's probably good when you come back, because I guess when you asked it, I was so surprised, and I really didn't have a very good answer. I thought, well, I'll just go back to my real life. I don't want to do city council. I don't want to do, this is what I'm passionate about. So I will continue doing something somewhere in some form, some fashion.
Yeah, for sure. And how do you, there's somebody out there right now that maybe didn't vote in June, that's planning on voting in November. How do you, make sure that they know that you're their candidate, and that you're going to look out for, the Valley?
For everybody. Yeah. I'm looking out for everybody. I don't care about the race. I don't care about how much money you make. I care about the Valley. I care that we are ensuring our future. We're ensuring our future for our children, for your children, their children's children. I am trying to get out there. I'm doing all the candidate stuff. I'm going to all the things. I'm doing all the donations. I'm going out, being around. I'm making sure I'm accessible. I'm door knocking. I'm going to start in Calapat on Monday. I really wish the weather would be a little cooler, because it's a little warm, but I'm just trying to be out there and be a present as much as I can. And I do want to encourage people to vote. It's crazy that people don't vote.
Yeah. Yep.
It's amazing. And then it's amazing, and I'm not even going to tell you because we're on air, when people say, I'm going to vote for you because I like your sign. Great. That's all I can say. But it is good if you can get involved. I think we need to get the younger generation involved as soon as you possibly can, because hopefully that leads them into a lifetime of really caring.
And going back to, the person that said they liked your sign, do you think that the people that vote, the little people that vote because of do they really know, the politics or the, what the people who are running for are about, or they're just voting because they know this person, or is it still like
I think it's all of the above. I think when you're young, maybe you don't know as much. You don't know the politics. You do tend to vote based on name recognition, who you know, who you see. And I think as you get older, you learn more. Maybe you get more involved because you're involved in the school board, because you have kids at the school and you want it to go a certain way. So I think the more involved you are in the community, I think it changes as you age. Older people, they're really involved for the most part. But then you have other people that think it doesn't make a difference, but it does make a difference. Every vote matters. And you don't, I forgot to vote because I was busy.
Right.
Try to vote. Everybody needs to vote.
And the thing is, like, I was telling one of the candidates, is like, it's super easy. You can get your ballot at home, you fill it out, you put it, a lot of people have a mailbox out, just in front of your house, just, how hard, I don't know. It's incredible that there's been, in our history, there's so much pain and suffering for people to vote, to have the right to vote. Right. And yet people don't do it.
Yeah. They don't take advantage. And there are people that I have met that I am shocked that don't vote, that aren't eligible to vote. And I'm thinking, you've lived here for 20 years. You need to vote. Yeah. This is crazy.
Yeah.
And people, they think it doesn't matter, but it does matter. And don't complain if you're not voting. If you vote, you can complain all you want to.
And I think when people say, and the majority of the people who say, my vote doesn't matter, it's because they only see like a presidential or governor, but I think where it matters the most is your local politics. And if you voted, I think you would see the difference there.
Yes, I agree. No, you just gotta get out there, vote. Remind everybody to vote, do everything you can do on social media, and I'm just running strong, running hard, not taking anything for granted. So
if there's people out there that want to, get to know you a little bit, how can they follow your campaign? Or they can
follow me on Instagram and on Facebook, and I have a website, Gina, the number 4, IID. Okay. So, and GinaForIID.com is the website itself. If you want a yard sign, you can go on Facebook, let me know, put your address in. We'll get one delivered. Might take me a couple days, but I'll get one there. And tell me if you want English or Spanish, because I have Spanish this time too.
Yeah. It's good that, you're focusing on the Hispanic community. Yeah. Because, a lot of people, even here in Calexico, I think, which is, the majority of our community is Hispanic.
Yes.
I don't know if I've seen any.
Well, because the people that vote for me is only Brawley, Calapat, and Island. So those are the people in my district, because I'm Division 3. So I don't have a sign really in Calexico. Sorry, but they can't vote for me.
But I mentioned that even the people here in Calexico that are running for office
don't have them in Spanish.
I don't think so.
This needs to be a thing.
Yeah. See, the Spanish minor
is coming in handy. And it's all, I wish I could remember the gentleman's name that wrote it in the paper, but it was the guy that was complaining in the paper. I thought, he's exactly right.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's crazy. You got to, that from the pro.
Yep.
That's crazy.
That's right.
Yeah. So anything else that we haven't covered that you would like to, we're at I'm trying to get every candidate 45 minutes and we're at the 45-minute mark, and, any closing thoughts that you might have?
No, I just really wanted to say about Feeding America, just that I'm passionate, again, 4th generation. I think I kind of covered it. I'm here and I'm doing it, not for the money, not for the paycheck, but because I care. And I think there are people that are running that care, but I really am also, I'm really in that camp. That's why I'm doing it. So please vote for me, Gina Dockstader, Division 3.
All right, guys. Well, thank you, Gina, once again for coming down to Calexico and enjoying a beer with me here in Calexico Brewing Company and having a talk. I really, really appreciate it. And thank you guys for listening or watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Thank you. That was great.